Hey, howdy, and hello there. Welcome to my first actual art video. I'm going to be turning the 6 standard colors of the rainbow into character designs. This all was originally going to be one video at first, but the time-lapse footage for the first 3 alone was over 20 minutes, so yeah, part 1. So about that, I wasn't able to yap for long enough for each of the time lapses, so I did speed up the footage even more, but it's still 15 minutes. Red's history here has been very interesting because when I had originally planned to do this video back like half a year ago, he's the only one that's managed to stay relatively the same throughout this entire process. As you can see in the original rough sketches, and in this smaller, separate series of color-based characters. Aside from most obviously Red, none of the others shown will be appearing. Any resemblance is purely coincidental. Onto his actual design. I always knew that I wanted him to be this more quiet and hands-off kind of character. He's just here, does his thing, and minds his own business. Red's often portrayed as passionate or angry most often. While those aren't bad things, and he isn't exempt from them, I see Red more so as a bold yet quiet color. It's noticeably there, it just also lets other colors shine. So he's got his headphones that I forgot the cord to, but he's also got his sweatpants on and he's just chilling. Red's probably going to be the one with the least to him. Granted, all of these are rather simple, and I'm not entirely sure how I'm gonna manage to yap about them for 3 to 5 minutes per character, but I'll make it work. Here's Red's finished design. On to the next one. God, this timer is already just 7 minutes long. Okay, orange is probably going to be the most consistent one in general concept throughout my attempts at this. He's always been tall, thin, and loud, and a bit fashionable each time too. Orange is probably one of the younger members within the group as a whole, probably being about in their mid-20s. While working on this video, I was showing the sketches of these characters to multiple people, just because I like to share my art. And many said that his hair looked like fire, which was not intentional, but I do like it because orange is commonly associated with fire, so it works anyway. You will start to see this more when we get to yellow, but there are smaller parallels between male and female pairs within the group. This does not mean in any way that they are in relationships with one another, but they're just fun things I like to add. I'm a huge fan of how I designed him. To be frank, I love all of them, but this one is my favorite out of the bunch. But dear God, drawing Dusty was so hard. I, for some reason, didn't look up a reference for how they're styling their jacket till I was nearly done with the sketch, and it definitely does not feel good when you have to redraw a big chunk of the design when it's meant to be nearly done. That's all I have to mention about Orange. Enjoy the time lapse and the music that I made. Because yes, I do also make music. That's what the channel has been for a while now. You can see Yellow's sketch in the time-lapse footage, so I'll just say this now. Both Orange and Yellow have sunglasses and are very summer-themed, which, yes, it's obvious, but it works. And most obviously, they both have imagery of their associated citrus fruits. Orange's being present on his zipper and on his bracelet and his shoes. And lemons obviously are on Yellow's tank top. It wasn't intentional that all three of the designs today do all have tank tops, but I think that's a nice way to tie these three together within the larger group. This is the final render of orange. And now on to the last one of this video. Yellow's had an interesting process, really. I personally do not tend to draw a lot of women. I do want to get better at that, and that is why half of the cast of these 6 characters are women, because I need more practice in order to get better at them. So this design, there's an entire scrap design. I'll see if I can pull that up. But yeah, that, not fun. Also, it seems while screen recording, the footage of Yellow got weird during the sketching phase, meaning that it paused in random places. I haven't checked the footage or anything after that, but I hope the same issues are not present, because that wasn't fun to edit out. Onto her actual design and character. I honestly don't have that much about her. I do know that she is on the louder side and is very much outgoing. She loves the beach, which very obvious. But yeah, that's basically all there is at the moment. I'm not best with writing characters and giving them personalities, especially when they're under a week old. But yeah, on to her actual design. As stated previously, she is very summer themed. I love the sun hat I gave her. Sun hats are very fun to draw despite their complicatedness, which you wouldn't think, but they kinda are. I kinda did cover up her hand with a bag that wasn't in the sketch at all, because I had rendered the hand and I hated how it looked, so I slapped a bag on it. I know it's not the best solution, but it works. I had this issue with the other 2 as well, but this one was especially prominent. So I tried my best to make these monochrome-esque. It is within the bounds of the color, just slightly reaching into analogous color schemes. But yellow is so difficult to work with because it's such a small piece of the color wheel, and there's only so much variation you can do with it, brightness and saturation wise, before it just looks ugly. So that was such a pain. I don't have much else to say, so enjoy the time lapse. Oh yeah, one detail I did want to point out, I did give her mismatching heels, and I really like that decision. And this is the finished render of Yellow. Thank you to all of those that have watched the whole way through, or even if you just skipped to the end to see all of them. It's still appreciated that you tuned in. None of these guys in here or in part 2 have specific names yet, so I'd love for you guys to drop your suggestions down in the comments. Also, one more thing before I go. Part 2 should be coming about next week or sometime next week. I don't know for sure because since this is the first video of this kind, I have no schedule yet. But it will come soonish. Anyway, thank you for stopping by. Have a lovely day or night or whatever time of day it is for you. And bye-bye.